What's going on, guys? Bladezilla here, and today we're taking a look at this gorgeous new knife from Shirogorov, the MidiQ. So buckle up, sit back, relax, grab a coffee, a whiskey, a beer, whatever it is you want to grab, go ahead and do it, because we've got a very cool special video today on this gorgeous knife. So I will say this, when I put this knife down as well, it likes to kind of tip back, so it's not going to appear very flat, and I think it's because this clip is just elevated just enough with that clip. So when I put it down, you'll see it kind of just tip like that. So just be aware of that. It's not the angle today, it's just kind of sitting a little weird. As well, some housekeeping, check out bladezilla.ca, where a lot of the knives featured on this YouTube channel are available for sale. I literally just put up this guy, the Sinkovich Touch Astrum. Super sick knife. I will be filming a video on one of those guys as soon as possible here, because another super sick knife, and I actually have it beside me, so might be able to do some comparisons on that today alongside the usual suspects. So where do we start with this? Well, I guess normally let's do some measurements. Yeah, it sits a little more normal there, so maybe just when it's closed it likes to kind of tip back just a little bit. So let's get some measurements. I don't have any spec sheet on this knife whatsoever, so we're going to have to kind of figure this out as we go, but it is their new mid-size. So we're coming in at, looks like 8 1/4, which is a very stellar-esque sizing, I think, which I found is stellar, so I'll use that to compare to today. So 8 1/4, blade length of, it looks like 3 3/4, is that what I'm seeing right? About 3 3/4 sharpened, maybe 3 7/8 to the inside of that choil. Handle length of 4 5/8, maybe a hair less. So overall, a real nice medium-sized Shirogorov. Let's grab my neon. I feel like my heart is racing today. I just finished a workout, and I'm getting to look at some Shirogorov, so the heart is pumping. So there's kind of your three sizes in the Shiro world. So neon, and then this, and then a Hattie, or I guess you'd be F95, Quantum, whatever you want. If you want to change this guy out for something that's a little more, let's grab a Quantum. Here's your Quantum to kind of go full size and tie, and let's alternate this back to the other direction just in case the camera's at a weird angle and we just want to see more of kind of a true size. I always find the smaller stuff up top looks a little more true on film, and the stuff down low just gets exaggeratedly big. So there's kind of your three sizes, but in reality it's very similar to, say, a Stellar or Cami, whatever you want to call it. Of which we'll grab a couple of these. There's the Cami, and where's my Stellar? I actually finally found this. It was in my wife's glove box of her car. I tell ya. So I'm like you guys. I always tell myself I'm just going to carry one knife, and then soon enough I've got a neon, and then soon enough I'm carrying the Stellar, and then I'm carrying my Quantum, and anyway. I digress. So there's kind of your three medium-sized: Stellar, MidiQ, Quantum, Midi Quantum, and then the Kami. And if we want to mix any normal other kind of fancy knives in this, let's grab a couple of the Norms that I have beside me here. I've got my Russian Dr. Death, and do I have some bios? Here's some bio light. I think there's a bio light for size comparison as well. And this is going to look massive, that Russian Dr. Death on the bottom, because it's such a thick knife. But to kind of give you some scale, right? We need to understand the scale of these knives, in that they are a really good size, really good normal size, as these MidiQs. And where's my CD here? Let's grab my F95 as well. So there's your custom division, F95, NL classic piece as well. So once again, flip them around. I already feel like this is going to be a long video because I'm already dragging my feet a little bit, and I apologize. So there you go. There's your F95. where do we even start from here? Oh, let's grab the mayo. Got one of those too. Dr. Death tie, pretty cool. On rollers, and this is the knife I always compare when we talk about kind of location of the flipper, right, in relation to the pivot. So when it's further back, think of it as a big gear on a bike. Always good. But that's not what we're here for. We're here for this. Let's get a weight as well. Where are we here? Because I said I don't have a spec sheet. I am all over the place today. And I'm sorry about that, but it is what it is. Filming this nice and early in the morning. 3.5 ounces, zeroed, correct? Is that what I'm seeing? 3.6. 3.5, somewhere between 3.5 and 3.6, which is good, given the size. So you are already under the inches to ounces ratio in that typically we want to see, you know, if it's 3.5 inch blade, you want to see 3.5 ounce. So you're below that because the blade's longer. So that's pretty cool. So Sprint Run, as if you're new to Shirogorov, the Sprint Run is their series they put out of a custom division typically prior to putting it out. In this case, I believe they actually quietly released this. I didn't see one of these until after the custom division was launched, which evidently was kind of the same day or within a few days, but this went quietly under the radar, the Sprint Run version. And if you guys follow Shirogorov, you'll know that typically the custom divisions, they started at 30 pieces. They moved them over the last, I don't know, 5-6 years to 50 pieces. And the custom divisions now, they're saying, following the Astrum, I believe the Astrum CD was only 50, but starting at the CDX, they were going to move them to 100 pieces. And, you know, 50 is a really good amount because it really stimulates the demand on a lot of stuff on the custom divisions. And the Sprint Runs have always remained 30. That hasn't changed on these, so they're still doing 30, which is interesting because I'm kind of curious to see how the value of these kind of continue to climb, because given that they pumped the CD number up to 100, the Sprint Run is still remaining at 30, and they are individually numbered. I have no clue where they're numbered on here. Like I said, I have just taken this out of its little mini box, and I just wanted to do a video, an unboxing, and the normal review that I would do is look at a knife in a, you know, not a super technical way, more of just what the average collector would want to see. So that's what we're talking about. So let's start at the blade and fit and all that stuff. So the blade's called, I think it's called ZDI 1016, which is, I think, the Zladinox, which, correct me if I'm wrong, it may be the same steel that was used on the Astrum Sprint Run, I think. So I think it was like an LMAX core Damascus, I think. I could be wrong, could be right, could be something. Either way, it's a super sexy looking Russian steel. Gorgeous. And the beauty of that is every Sprint Run knife will have a different blade, different layup, and gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. We've got, looks like a mirrored edge on this as well, which is terrific. Fit in the hand. It feels like just a little bit bigger than a mini Quantum. Like, it's a thin knife. I don't know if you can see that. It's just like a scaled down Quantum. Absolutely beautiful. And a design and a size that kind of came out of nowhere, because they had a showpiece maybe 6 months ago, 3 months ago, something like that, of the MidiQ in a full custom that went right under the radar. I think it went for, I don't know, 15 grand or something at a show. And no one was really like, hey, I wonder what they're doing with that knife. Are they going to put it out? And then lo and behold, here we are. We've got Sprint Runs and custom divisions, and I will try to get a custom division version of this to compare it with, but I haven't yet been able to. There's only a couple of them floating around, so give it time. But yeah, that full custom definitely was kind of under the radar. Beautiful knife as well. So where do we start with this? Fit in hand, like I said, feels like a stellar sized Quantum. Like, really nice. I've got an extra large glove. I still have room for, you know, half a finger on there of mine. It's just a really good fit. You know, I think I've got a few friends I know right now, a half a dozen come off the top of my head that I go, this is going to be perfect for them. You know who you are. We've got all the modern amenities of the captive pivot. We've got this cool new version of their cover here, right? Which is kind of held in place with the bearing underneath. But it is milled, and the more you look at this, I'm filming this in the dark, so I'm not getting any daylight on this, but you throw this in the daylight and you're going to get all kinds of lines that pop off on this pivot. You're seeing the milling that's kind of tapered as well on the inside of here. It's really tapered, so you're kind of getting finer on this side and more coarse on the other side of that pivot. On the inside of the handle, we've got, it almost looks reminiscent of, like, it sounds silly, like a Burberry kind of pattern. It's very hidden in the back, very, very subtle, but there is some very micro milling kind of on the inside of that you have to really look for to see. Very fine, gorgeous actually. Gorgeous. Oh, it goes all the way back into here. I didn't see that before. And even above the bear, the milling goes real fine just above its ears. And those lines continue. Once again, you don't really see that. Actually, up here too. I'm just looking at that now. Underneath the kind of coarser lines, left to right, it too is very micro milled between those two sets of patterns. Gorgeous. This is why I film these videos right here, because I would not have even noticed that. Absolutely stunning. The overall pattern in here, I believe the custom division version I read was, I think it was there was like a window on this. So we'll see which there's a preference for. I know some people love to see the blade, but whatever. More classic look here, in my opinion, more quantum custom division sprint run version. Just more of a custom look, or more of a classic look on this. On the back side, you know, this is what the talking piece of this model is going to be, is that swivel clip. And I know what you're thinking, hey, what's the point of that clip? Is it needed? Is it necessary? You know, it was first launched on the Mini Quantum, which is just a terrific knife and still, like, geez, highly, highly desirable. The clips so that basically you can kind of clip it onto some dress pants, something where you don't want to drag the pant underneath it, and it just pops off. There's a bearing underneath. It should just click out. There you go. And swivels. And when it's unclipped, you can move it around as such, right? And then when you want to re-engage it, you just push it over top, and there you go. It's clicked back in. Personally, I don't know if that'll ever make production. That seems like a very high-end piece. I think it would be super sick if they ever tried to put that on production, but I think it would also kind of devalue the specialty and the rarity of pieces like this that have them. It is a anode, kind of a blue color as well, to match that back spacer. And did they match the hardware to it? I can't really tell, because I'm looking at a camera. It might be, I can't tell. My eyesight's not what it used to be. Sometimes they match that hardware, but in this case it could just be standard tie. But yeah, anode blue looks great, color matched on the back spacer, which that pattern, if you've had some of the old custom division Quantums, that's your jam right there. That big, thick, burly back spacer. That's what she said. We still have the window, obviously, on this side into the lock bar through to see that beautiful Zladinox blade. And the patterning is on the inside of here once again. All throughout, and I've got some fingerprints on here, I'm sorry. Got too excited. But there's some fingerprints on there on the inside. But you're seeing that same patterning here. Gorgeous. Absolutely stunning. And then under that clip, I'm going to just move that back. Kind of hold it for a sec. Look at the milling on that lock bar. Oh, if it wants to focus, come on, man. Work with me. See if I can take a finger off here. There we go. Look at that milling underneath the clip. You know, something that you don't even see. And once again on this side here, underneath the clip. Hopefully you can see that. More of that gorgeous milling. Just stunning. Crisp sound on that too. When you crack that clip back into place, it just pops. Very, very sharp. No play as well, which I'm assuming is kind of difficult to do. I love kind of the overall, when I first saw the custom division, it's blue, and then they kind of have, I think it's either blue or kind of like a stonewashed lip that's on the top. Same design as this, obviously. But it kind of gave me vibes of like a lightning bolt that kind of shoots down. And I don't know if it's because the color popped off of the blue or if it's the design itself, but you've kind of got this elevated kind of satin flat, I think. Kind of a satin polish flat, I guess, something similar to that runs along this on both sides of the knife, and it looks incredible. Super, super sexy. Tolerance-wise, as you can just tell, like dead center on this. Everything around it is as tight as it gets. And tolerance-wise, it is a mid-size, but my God, they're like angling. If you're looking at this, they're angling all these pieces and beveling in to kind of add emphasis. And I haven't even looked inside and looked under the back spacer. I'm assuming, do we have any centering lines underneath that? Nope. Is it floating? Let's take a look. Not seeing any gaps. And on the inside, no, it's milled underneath the inside. Like, are you kidding me? Underneath the inside of the backspacer, it's milled out to save weight. That's nuts. It's just details you're never going to see this on a lot of other customs. It's just the details nuts. This would be one. There's another guy here in Canada. I'm assuming a lot of you guys have seen Fab Blades. He would be the guy to take this apart and look at it. And I bet you the inside of this would, it would be just gorgeous to see. I'm not going to do that. I'm not as skilled as he is when it comes to that stuff. And, the inside of this, I'll get that light off. The inside of this, I can tell, is just filled with milling lines. I'll shine the light once again inside just so we can kind of see some of these gaps of these big trapezoidal boxes. And, oh my God, there's a ton of material taken out of the inside of this, which is why you're getting that super, super lightweight savings. Oh boy, gorgeous knife. Stunning, actually. And I would love to see on the inside to see if there's any like Easter eggs hiding in there of anything. We haven't even figured out where they've marked the serial on this, but we will. On the inside, actually let's leave that blade up. Typically right up here is where they'll stamp most of the time the MRBS or roller bearings. So this does run on single roll rollers. As you can see, that's the little indicator of that. If the camera doesn't want to freak out and spaz, which it currently is. Yeah, there's a little row for that. So roller bearings in the Shiro world is kind of the gold standard of, immediately remortgaging your house to buy one. It's an action level that's just silk. Silky, silky smooth. And, the knife snaps out for you, Tim, I know you're looking. It absolutely fires out and just silky smooth. Gorgeous. Where else am I going with this? So roller bearings, if you haven't experienced them, it's not to add smoothness. It's just like another evolution of control on the multi-row bearings where we're actually adding stability to the interface between the blade, right? So it's just a nice solid feeling knife. It looks like on the handles they've kind of done some very subtle milling in this, but they've also kind of done like I can't tell if it's stone washed or maybe it's just micro milled all along the top, and I am seeing very subtle lines. It could just be micro milled. But yeah, that is definitely a satin flat on the quote lightning bolts or whatever you want to call it. I don't know what that would be referred to. It just kind of reminds me of a kind of a lightning design. Adds a lot of emphasis. But it looks like they've kind of done some micro milling in there and maybe a light stone wash on it. Or a blast, I can't tell. Let's see, do we have any numbering on this anywhere? Is there anything hiding that I'm not seeing? I'm assuming it would be inside here somewhere. And this is the problem with these videos is, you know, we're probably 20 minutes in, and I don't even know what number this is. Other than I know I can see it here on the serial, on the certificate. But I don't know where it is. Oh, I'm just getting little peeks inside through the window on there. Oh, it's all milled inside. Oh God, it's so gorgeous. I'm sorry in advance if this video ends up being longer than I want it to be. I really don't have time to do this today, but I'm gonna find it. The clip is obviously attached internally. I don't know how they do the swivel mechanism. I've actually never seen a mini quantum broken down, the clip broken down, but I'm assuming there's a spring in there that, you know, basic spring that's kind of underneath the clip or something that pushes it a certain way. It would have to be. I can't see it running on anything other than like washers or like phosphor or something. Okay, focus. I need to find that serial number. Where is it done? I always thought they were labeled on the heel, and I don't see it. I'm gonna grab my light. Take a look. Okay. And I'm taking my eyes off the camera, so if it unfocuses, I'm sorry. It's not under the back spacer. Where the hell is this thing numbered? I don't know. I'm gonna find it here. Give me 2 seconds. This isn't needed to be on camera, my struggle, so let me find it and then I'll point it out here in a sec, if there is one. Alright, so I feel like an idiot. So I've scoured it, I've looked at every single internal box of this knife, and I could not find a serial number. However, my common sense kind of clicked. And I go, you know what, maybe I'm overthinking this. If I'm adding a swivel clip to a knife, what's easier to put a serial number on, the clip or the frame? And I go, maybe I'll check underneath the swivel clip, right? So you're like, okay. So I figured, let's open this guy up on the clip and take a look. Maybe it's underneath here, right? You're like, oh, maybe it's hidden there. Great spot to put it. Then you flip the thing around and you go, oh, it's actually underneath the clip on the inside. Sprint Run 27. There you go. So typically on the Shiros that I've always had, they've always put it on the inside of the heel, or even underneath the back spacer. So in this case, I kind of feel like they're being a little cheeky with me and putting it underneath the clip on the swivel. I go, hey, that's cool because it is completely protected and out of sight. And to boot, when you look at the inside of this clip, if I want to swivel it out a little bit, there's more milling, and it's just gorgeous. Absolutely ridiculous all the way around. So there you go, another little Easter egg that you learn something every day with Shirogorov. They are clever, they are cheeky, they make absolute incredible designs, as you were aware, and this is just I love that. I love that stuff. 5 minutes of me searching for that stupid serial number, and I was at the point I'm like, I don't think they put it on here. And lo and behold, it's hidden somewhere. And even someone who has looked at the majority of Shirogorov's knives at this point, or more modern ones anyway, it fooled me. That is hilarious. Oh boy. Sorry about that, guys. Anyway, back on track. I also did want to add that the swivel clip is beveled for almost like a fingerprint. I don't know if you can kind of see that, but it is not just a flat bevel. It's more of a 3D rounded cutout, which is super, super cool and just makes that whole area look phenomenal. We as well have total access, obviously, to that lanyard spot. Unlike the Stellar with a nice hole in the corner. Maybe I'll grab that Stellar to just show what I'm talking about, because sometimes people don't know the Stellar for the lanyard. We've got a hole above the bear, right? And that you get a more rounded heel on the handle. Some people didn't like that on a lot of custom vision sprint run Stellars, and in this case they've gone to the traditional back spacer style hole for lanyards. If you want to run a lanyard or a bead or whatever, you can do that. I think I have some new beads that I need to get on the site, by the way. So anyway, I love that. If you did want to take this guy apart, you would need a custom division tool. Not so much for this right here, that little standard slot. You easily use a penny or whatever on there, but like, let's be honest, if you're spending this kind of dough on this type of a knife, these are going to be expensive. I'm assuming, based on the fact that there's only 30 of these, 6,000 US is probably the starting point on these. Maybe 5,750, maybe 6,500 US, somewhere in that conversation. And depending on when you watch this is being filmed in fall 2024, so the market may fluctuate up or down depending, but the fact that there's only 30 typically means that these are right into collectors' safes, and they don't really become available. So supply-demand would dictate they're going to be harder to find. And rightfully so. Gorgeous. Very much like the Sprint Run Astrums. Just gorgeous. But, the milling on this is not as micro milled. It's just stunning. I've always been a big fan of putting the bear on the back of the knife instead of on the blade. And I love how they've been doing this, putting that little dropped V. First of all, anytime you see V, who isn't going to like it? I digress immediately. All jokes aside, though, I love how they kind of cut that in there. It's permanent. It's not going to get worn off. It's not going to have any issues. It's just nice and subtly tucked in. And then that whole kind of, the quote V underneath there, you're kind of seeing those angles cut into the like kind of those accents, the lightning that I was talking about earlier, kind of those hard angles kind of up here, in that corner over here, up here as well. They're more rounded in certain spots, but that's the whole quote lightning. It's because of these hard angles and these tight turns, boom, 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 etc. So it definitely fits the entire design, and they've integrated the bottom of the chin of the bear in that same kind of manner, which is just smart. I'm trying to think what else I can kind of see here that I haven't really touched on. I guess the blade, let's take a look at that jimping. So typically we've always seen the match of, the jimping with the backspacer. In this case, they didn't match it, which is, a very nice exception to the rule, I would say, because the Quantums, the full-size Quantum, CDs and SRs, they did the right thing by picking that big, thick, juicy backspacer. And then up front, it's more modest, right? More modest, nice and subtle, in line with kind of what you'd expect. There's a few people that always say if the knife is sized correctly, you don't need a huge spot for your jimping. So in this case, your finger falls right on top of it. There's no additional jimping on the handle itself. There's no match there. It's so natural and comfortable. The top of the blade is flat. It's pinched as well on both sides. If you wanted to look at that, it's pinched, and then it expands and swells out towards the tip to provide some strength. But if you wanted to put your thumb all the way up there for fine cutting, you could. I don't know who's using this, but you could. As well, on the Zlatanox blade, you can kind of see those kind of flats, the satin flats. Looks really good. and then that mirrored edge to kind of add some gusto to the overall design. Just another gorgeous knife. Another gorgeous knife. Too many gorgeous knives. I didn't even talk about this, but we do have a metal lock bar insert, obviously, at this price point, which I don't know what it is, but you know, remember that lock bar insert is typically just to be a wear point between the handle material or the lock bar and the blade. So it is replaceable. It is attached internally as well. If we look how that is the tip of the screw on the other end. So if you look on the inside, you will see you will need the small custom division bit for this to kind of change that. And I did talk about this briefly, but I completely realized my ADHD went off track. So you will need a custom division tool, as I mentioned earlier, for here. Or sorry, not for here, but for here, for that reverse bit, which is critical. You're not going to be able to really get anything in there. Trust me, there's been a lot of people trying to figure out how to engineer a reverse bit. But get the tool. They look like, where is mine? They look like this. And also very gorgeous. They have all the Shirogorov bits you'll ever need. And I believe they even say custom division on the tip here. CD, there you go. Custom division, which is cool. Some of the new tools I think we've got. Well, I'll review the capsule tool at some point here. That's on that Astrum. And by the way, I didn't even do this, but we didn't even compare an Astrum to the size of this. And I have it right beside me, which I'm going to do a video on here in about at some point later today. But there's your Astrum Touch from the show. CCKS. And another gorgeous knife. Geez, oh geez. MagnaCut. And talk about that cool tool that came with it. The capsule, which I haven't even looked at. And there's a little sneak peek. So tiny little guy. Here you go. The capsule tool. And I'm dropping bags. If it wants to focus, come on, give me. There you go. Follows that kind of Christmas pattern. Or Bladezilla Canada pattern. AKA snow, because it snows here all the time. It's a cool tool. So just that's a little sneak peek of that knife that will be coming up at some point, because I will review it. But for the time being, high demand knife. I think there was only 50 of these made, which is crazy how these show knives are now made in smaller quantities than custom divisions. Or will we see a push on these to bump up pricing? I don't know, but very well made knife. Highly impressed. I will be keeping one for myself, likely the one that I just showed you. So what else am I missing on this knife that I haven't talked about? And I'm sorry if this video is dragging on, but I feel that sometimes the custom division sprint run knives, they deserve a little extra time. More so than normal, because they're just incredible pieces, and there's just honestly quite a bit to talk about, more so than a standard knife. So talked about the swivel clip. I think it's really cool. I love that little arrow as well. I talked about how you can kind of, you know, position it on, say, dress pants. It's obviously more geared towards a high-end carry. You know, maybe a lawyer might snap that in their pocket or in their inside pocket, that kind of thing. I talked about how you need the custom division tools, the reverse bit to open it up. I did mention, obviously, the fact that you do need a tool to service that lock bar insert, and it is internal. The clip is attached internal. What else I can see? There's a ton of stuff actually on the inside of this. I see 1, 2, 3 different screws on the inside of this. The inside of this is just as stunning, if not more stunning, than the outside. And I know you're wondering, how is that even possible? And it is. I'm telling you this. Go check out Fablades. Go look at some of his videos on when he opens these things up. And you will be, without a doubt, just blown away by the elegance and the craftsmanship on the inside of these knives. And this is no different. I can't wait to see when one of these gets opened up, because I can just see little windows, and obviously inside it is gorgeous, drop dead gorgeous on the inside of this. The fact that we've got that Sprint Run serial on the bottom of the clip is cheeky, and I think that's so cool, and just a nice little touch. The milling on the back spacer internally looks terrific. The tolerances are ridiculous, as you'd expect on a Shirogorov, in that everything's centered, everything's tight, all the way around. Beveling on the inside, oh, cool. Beveling on the inside of the lanyard holes as well. Beveling on the edges. A pinch on the back spacer, gorgeous. I didn't talk about this, but you do have the Shirogorov standard post flipper milling on the inside of that as well, so when you do fire it out, your finger doesn't get cut on any sharp edges. Even on the back, as we go down towards that back spacer, you've got beveled edges all the way around. It's simply another knife that is just done so well. And I don't know how they keep these designs under their hat, how they announce them without anybody knowing. You know, I feel like a lot of us now are aware and have a lot of connections in the Shirogorov world. And things like this pop out that nobody knew about, myself included. And maybe I've got the wrong connections, I don't know. But I figure there's enough people now that know me and I know, and we're all, it's a small community, and they must do a great job of controlling those messages. Because it's just ridiculous, a design like this. Any time they put that swivel clip on a new design without it going noticed, it's just bananas. So the question is this. If I'm in the market for one of these, for the MidiQs, do I go Sprint Run, Custom Division, both, or hold out for production? And production we could be, I'm assuming, if they do that road. I don't know if they ever will, first of all. You know, the Mini Quantum was high demand, and they never have done a production knife of that. I don't know if they will. Could this be the same? I don't know. I know that the mid-size market is super hot right now. The Stellars, right? The MidiQs, obviously. So will they put something in that market? I don't know. Between this and the Custom Division, you know, there's going to be more than 3 times the amount of Custom Division versions of this out there. You're going to get the little window on the front, which some people will love because you'll see the blade. And conversely, you'll see some of that internal milling on the other side when the blade is pulled out. I believe it has a pierced fuller as well up here. So, you know, Shirogorov and thumb and reverse deployment is always cool. And it's blue. So blue, Anno, is a super sick color. You know, a throwback to the Quantum Blue. Great design, great knife. I'm curious to see what that knife does demand-wise, given that there's more than 3 times the quantity of those available than this. I know that the purists, the true collectors, will want both, and there will be an emphasis on adding this, because there's just, simply put, less than 1/3 of them. So I'm curious to see how that model goes. But I can tell you this. This is done tremendously well. Gorgeous knife all the way around. The milling, just the stepping, the design elements are all there. It ticks all the boxes that you would want of a Custom Division knife, but there's way less of them. So I would suspect, and traditionally the Sprint Runs are more expensive, with very few exceptions. They are typically, you know, $1,000 plus more than a Custom Division, typically. You know, if we look back at the Sprint Run Stellars, They were always, geez, 4,500, 5 grand, 5,500, whereas the custom divisions were always kind of 3,500, 4 grand. So, you know, I'm curious to see, now that that model's stretched even further while maintaining the quantity of these available, I'm curious to see if these actually go up in price while the others kind of either hold or drop slightly. Because there's double the amount available, from 50 to 100. I think it's a great looking knife. I think that absolute rocket action. It's on the double row roller bearing, or not double row, roller bearings, so action's incredibly smooth, consistent. So I think it's going to be hot. I think it's going to be a hot knife, and God, it just sits back right in, just click. It's so solid. There is some train of thought I have heard from a few people that say a lot of the sprint runs, I've heard some people say that Sergey himself has helped put together a lot of them, versus, you know, the custom divisions are not. I have heard that. So I don't know if, you know, the tuning on these is any different, if they're done by hand, by eye, by spec. I really don't know the process. I would love to see that process one day, but I can say another home run. And keep in mind, I'm a Shirogorov whore and love Shirogorov knives. They're up there with my favorite brand, and it is the knife that I carry on the regular. Owning a store that sells a lot of brands, it's what I carry typically. It's just Shirogorov. So I'm biased. My question would be, what do you guys think? Do you think that Shirogorov is knocking it out of the park? Do you think that this knife is substantially overvalued? Do you think it's well engineered? You let me know in the comments. I'd be curious to hear your thoughts. But we should all know my opinion. At this point, if you're still watching, I'm sure I'm over half an hour. I don't know what I'm at, 40 minutes, 50 minutes, 20 minutes. But it's been a while filming. So I think I'm going to end it there while I still have air in my lungs. And a gorgeous knife still in my hands in the Shirogorov MidiQ Sprint Run, number 27 of 30. Fortunate to be able to take a look at this one and show you guys the details. If I missed anything, please let me know in the comments, because I do miss a lot of things, and I don't know if it's the fact that I am sitting behind a camera and looking at a tripod when I film this and not on the knife itself, but I can tell you, based on what I see in my own videos online, the knives present much, much more beautiful in real life. And that's almost consistent across the board in all the knives that I sell. They just tend to hit the sun a lot better. For example, I put this down. This one isn't up yet on the site, but will be soon here. But another Alatex F3, where you look at this knife and absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous knife, but you know, the Alatex does no justice on camera versus the natural light that hits it. It's another beautiful knife. I'll get that in the store. I've got a pile of these to go up. Another gorgeous knife. Just, you know, a little teaser if you guys are watching. You know, these do come in from Shirogorov in a big batch of stuff. So usually there's a bunch. When I put one up, there's more coming. So anyway, that is the Shirogorov MidiQ Sprint Run. Let me know if I missed anything, if I am crazy, if I'm head over heels in love, you let me know. Otherwise, check out bladezilla.ca. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on TikTok, hit the thumbs up on the YouTube, and I just made a Facebook page. So would love to see more action on that, because I think there's only maybe 20 people following it. So it'd be great to get to 50 or 100 on there, and then obviously target 1,000 plus. But we're getting there. Oh, I feel like I don't even want to stop filming this, because I just keep keep getting to look at this knife, and it bugs me because it's just so well done. And now that the light is starting to come up on the day, I'm getting the camera's bouncing some light in a different direction. I'm just seeing more detail than what I originally saw as I filmed it, which is a shame. Probably should have waited to film this, but too excited. Oh, look at the angling inside there on the handle. Oh. Stunning. Alright, well, we'll see if everything's in the video, see if it all worked, but appreciate you guys stopping by, and we'll be in touch. Have yourself a great week, or what's left of it, and we'll talk soon. Peace.